Duke basketball. A program with a tradition of excellence built on discipline. Teamwork. Mike Krzyzewski's leadership. And execution.
There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up.
The Duke Basketball video series provides you a special opportunity to learn many of the principles, techniques, drills, and teaching methods that are the backbone of the Blue Devils' success.
Elton's right here, and he's created this amount of space for himself.
Now, from inside Cameron Indoor Stadium, the home of this basketball powerhouse, here's Duke Basketball with Coach Mike Krzyzewski.
In this video, I will take you behind the scenes for basketball practice here at Duke University. I will show you how we develop a practice plan, what we cover in our pre-practice coaches meeting, and how we make adjustments once the practice begins. I will also show you in detail how we practice in preparation for a game. What would be a good practice? To me, a good practice would be one in which we worked hard, we concentrated, we talked, and we competed. If you do that every practice, you're going to be a really good basketball team. What I'm trying to do is really put in 3 systems when I plan my practices. I'm trying to put in an offensive system, a defensive system, and a communication system. And they're just some basic principles that I use. Some basic principles I use in teaching the game. I don't know who said this, but whoever said it was really smart. They said, when you hear, you forget. Okay? When you see, you remember. When you do, you understand. And so basically every practice that I have has hearing, seeing, and doing. However, most of the practice has to be built on the third thing, the do. We spend our time doing a lot of things, but you have to talk to them about it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. But if you talk too much, which some coaches, and excuse me, me included, you have a tendency to do at any time. Pre-practice, I want to talk about this point, and all of a sudden you talk for 12 minutes and you should have gotten it done in 4, and they never got your point. Remember that overall, what you know is important, but the most important thing is what your players do under game conditions. The most important thing. You can be the smartest coach when you have an open book exam where it's just you talking and analyzing the game. That does not make you a good coach or the best possible coach. What your players do under game conditions is ultimately important. And basically, if my players work hard, compete, concentrate, and communicate every game, we're going to be really good. We're going to be as good as that team can be. You know, unless I put in some crazy system or keep changing things where they never develop habits. as a teacher, I think that you need to have practice plans. You need to plan on how you're going to teach. I ask myself questions daily and certainly before we start the year about my team. Not just at the beginning of the year, but daily. First of all, who am I coaching? How old are they? How much experience do they have, not just playing, but in your system? And then the numbers of them really are important. What do you coach? What's your system? Do you try to put those players in your system, which might be terrific? Or do you try to find out a system that's best for the players? How do you teach it? How are you going to teach it? In other words, if you're going to play 1-3-1 zone, what drills do you have to lead up to that? Motion. If you're going to run motion offense, what drills do you have to lead up to that? Because you want to develop the habits that will fit your system. And you got to do that on a day-to-day basis. In order to develop a habit, a physical habit, you need intelligent, intensive, and persistent work. And so, are your drills intelligent? Do they make sense? When you run the drill, is it intensive? Is it intensive? And are you persistent about it? We are going to do it. We are going to get this done. I am going to teach him that. I am going to teach her that. How much time do you have? Now, again, daily, weekly, and yearly. Sometimes it's a good idea to take a look at, okay, overall I want to have these, just as an example, these 10 things in. In order for them to become good habits, let me take 5 of them right now. I'm going to do these 5 things and get good habits. Then as the season moves along, 6 and 7 become easier. 8 and 9 become easier. And then before we get into the tournament, I can get in number 10. I would like to do a few things real well. Again, if you have more time, you can put in more things. What resources do you have to help you teach? How do we plan for the use of our facility? Certainly all of you do not have a gym for yourself. How many, to me, the first question that I always have when a coach talks to me about practice or building their team is I ask them, how many baskets do you have? How many people do you have to help you? A lot of times you're the only person coaching or you have one assistant. To me, use of managers is ultimately important in the success of any program. Our managers are a team within a team. Our players treat our managers like a member of the team with respect. Certainly we do. They run the logistical end of our practice. Some of the smartest kids that could help your program are right in your school, but they don't play basketball. They could run videotape for you. They would break down tape. They would computerize your stats. They could help you in a number of ways. And the reason you need to go out and recruit. Recruit a good manager team. To plan on when you can practice is very important. We're limited to 20 hours a week, which is no problem for us. And we have to give them 1 day off a week. I would do that anyway. And what we do is we get their class schedules. We try to plan their classes at the beginning of the semester so that we have certain windows of opportunity to practice. And then we go off with that. Academics and keeping up with their academics. A week ahead, I get a calendar list of the week. the 5 days, Monday through Friday, and on each day, I know if a kid has a big event. He's got a physics exam. He's got a term paper due. He's got big things like that. It helps me in planning my practice. If I find that one day, so much, they all have something big, that may be the day before, that may be the day I give them off. It gives me information to talk to them about and to keep current where they know that I'm concerned about them more than just being a basketball player. I do the weekly practice schedule probably 2 weeks in advance. My staff may have it planned even further in advance and will show me what they've planned. But then I take a look at it and see where I can make effective use of my time. I have a daily practice schedule. I don't write that daily practice schedule up 3 or 4 days in advance. I do one every night because I want to make it current. I have an idea of what I'm going to do during a whole week. I might just jot it down. Like by the end of the week, I would like to get to this point on defense, this point on offense, in transition. But I don't plan the actual practice plan for each of those days for that whole week. I do it one day at a time. Finally, in going through a whole practice sessions and that, be flexible. Be flexible. Don't be a slave to any type of plan, but be organized. In other words, don't put yourself in a box because of the schedule. Give yourself the freedom to improvise and do it. In pre-practice, before like they're doing individual work, just to bring them back into the locker room and let's pick out 4 sequences from 45, and we'll show that, and then we'll redo 45 early in the practice to see if we can build on, just to give them feedback right away and go with it. And then before practice, I'll take that practice plan and we go over it with, like, it's handwritten. Like I handwrite all my practice plan, but it's a working sheet. In other words, my staff then has that and we start talking. And okay, you do this and I'll add to it, and I just write over in different spots. And so, like what you get, in a practice plan, I might add six other things before the practice based on our practice meeting. Every day we have pre and post-practice work. If we have our practice scheduled at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I might have the facility from 2:30 on, say 2:30 to 5. I might want to start my practice at 2:45, but the kids can get there at 2:30. At 2:30, we have an organized pre-practice. In other words, before we go out on the court, my staff knows that, okay, if Shane and William are there at this time, I want you working with them on pull-back dribble, step-up jumper. There's a plan. And then if it didn't work out, like Shane was, Trajan or Shane, whoever we were going to work with was a little bit late coming from class or whatever, then we have an alternate plan with someone else. After practice, we know everyone was there. So I'll say, okay, Quinn, I want you to take Burgess every day this week and tell me 4 things you think he should work on. And then he'll say the 4 things, and I'll say, okay, eliminate one of them, put this in instead, or those 4 are great. So organized pre and post practice is big. We get a lot of individual work done. Shooting, if Corey Maggette has, as a freshman, does not understand something during a practice, an assistant should make either a written or a mental note of it. And then, or I would do that. And then after practice, when I'm talking to the team, I'm just saying, and Corey, you get with Coach Henderson, and I want you to go over contesting slides after practice. You didn't have a good idea. We stretch every day. And I'm not going to elaborate on stretching too much, but it's important to have a general routine of stretching. And then to change it a little bit, the order of stretches every couple weeks. There may be players that need a few specific stretches that vary from the routine. I've hardly ever practiced more than 2 hours. Hardly ever. That's without pre and post practice. I want the practice itself to be very quick moving. I want to eliminate as much standing time as possible. In other words, if you have an individual drill, a denial drill, one-on-one, you're doing this contesting drill. If you have your whole team waiting to do the contesting drill, and you've allocated 7 or 8 minutes for it, and how much time you allocate for individual drills and team drills as part of the practice plan. But say you've allocated 7 minutes for that. If you have a line of people, they might get 2 reps. But if you figure it out a certain way and use all of your resources, you might be able to get somebody, like 15 reps, 10 reps. And remember what we're talking about. Habits are not developed unless you have reps. There's no way that you develop good habits, physical habits, without repetition. Matching up players. If you let your players go and just do anything they want, a lot of times, 2 of them end up always at the same basket, always going against one another in drills. Take a look at that. Have them go against a bunch of different people. Throughout the practice, I like it where my players sub for one another. Certainly, if I want a definite group in, I'll tell them. Let me have Trajan, Will, Nate, you come on out, Burge, and Elton. Okay, let's just run motion. 5 on 0. Look, they run 2. You guys, I'll put guys in. Let's go. But overall in drills, pretty much I let them sub for one another. Sometimes at the start of a practice, after we do warm-ups, I'll just say, okay, give me 6 white, 6 blue. Let's go 4 on 4 defense, up and back, 21 on defense all the time. Let's go. It's fast. It's what you would say in a game, right? You're not going to be able to say, now, Jimmy, you go over here, and Sue, you go over here, and all that stuff. You're not. And so, overall, in your drills, a key word is game-like. There's certain times in a practice schedule that I try to do like a sprint in practice, where I just kind of change things a bunch. I might say, okay, 2-man contesting, 2 buckets. Okay, let's go 3 on 3, front to cutter, and just have them move through like a 10-minute period, just to see how everything would work and how they would interact. And those type of things, I think, make the practice interesting. There's an end of half situation. We try to use end of halves like end of games. We think you can build up a lead at the end of a half, especially with the arrow. We have the arrow. We're going to get the ball at the start of the second half. There's a minute to go. We have the ball. We're going to go for a 2-for-1. You know, we're going to get a quick shot, a good shot. The other team's going to come down. Hopefully we hit that shot. We stop them from scoring. We end up scoring the last bucket, and then we get the ball to start out the half. We actually can get a 3-for-1. And we practice those type of game situations. There might be a thing where all of a sudden we have a 20-second timeout that we can use for the last shot. Well, we would practice that, and I might want to draw up a variation of an out of bounds. So in a 20-second or a full timeout during a practice, I'll bring them over, and with my clipboard and I say, here's what I want you to do. And so I practice, can they take what I just did and do it out there? That's preparing for the game. Sometimes in breaking up a practice, what I would do is simulate halftime. I don't know if you ever did that in a practice. I'll just practice for an hour and then say, okay, everybody in the locker room. And I might show them some tape or talk to them for 8 or 10 minutes. Okay, go to the restroom, do what you, okay, now we're coming back out. And we'll do the short warm-up that we would do whenever we come out for a game. And then we do practice again. Good job. Okay, when you talk to your team, where do you talk to them and for how long? We change locations. If I talk to them in the locker room, I may bring them out on the court. We sit down. The next time I talk to them, we sit down over there. I try to vary the places I talk to them and the time limits that I have, because their attention span is only so much. And this would then be a turnover and would go going. Watch what happens. See? Right there. You're in good position. And so now it's just a matter of completing that play. We videotape everything 4-on-4 and 5-on-5 that we do in a practice. And we take stats of everything when we're doing 4-on-4, 5-on-5. We may also focus in on one player or a drill. Like in our pre-practice meeting, I put it and I say, here's what I want for video and stats. And then let's just follow Elton in post-defense drill. Or let's take a look at 3-on-3 recognition, and because people have to read in it. That type of thing. Good, good. Get him again. Good. You can get him, get him, get him. Good. That's it. Block out. All right, good. Good shot, Trey. All right, turn it around. That was good. That was good. A little bit, we can even be a little bit more aggressive. You can do it up to half court. If you're the pressing team, you got to be thinking, if someone's holding it back there, 1,001, 1,000, we're getting pretty close to 10 seconds. And if especially a big guy is dribbling here, I think this is Nate and Shane, what you guys should do, we can trap up to half court. Right now, if you jump at him, especially a guy who's not their point guard, but we would even do it at the point there, like, there's a good chance he might pick it up again. And that's the count. That's the count. And Shane was yelling for that. Yeah, we finally did it. We should have done it a little bit sooner. It's a great teaching aid. It's an amazing teaching aid. Stats are a great teaching aid. And sometimes right after a practice, I bring a player in. I say, come over here, we're going to watch you. I want to show you those 3 times that I talked about, when you didn't take the ball to the basket. This is good. Right there, when the ball is taken, what drill is that? Zigzag to one-on-one, right? And so when we got the ball to half court, we continued to zigzag. That's what we're trying, what we did there, we've allowed him to come into the middle of the court. It's not just about negative, it's about positive. Someone's not shooting well, you take their shots that they hit that day in practice, and say, here, just take this tape. You know, you were 12 for 15 in this practice, or you hit 12 shots. Watch yourself hitting shots, or see yourself driving. If you just talk about it, they forget about it. They see and they remember, and then you practice the thing and they're doing and they understand. During a practice session, how you do free throws, pressure free throws. Like we might, one idea would be how you put pressure on them. Like say we go in a 45-minute segment and we end the segment and I'll say, Elton, you're on the line, you got one free throw first or the whole team runs to suicide. It's pressure. And if we want it to be the team that we want it to be, then we have to start developing that personality in game situations. In game situations starting tomorrow night. Okay? All right, let's get everyone together. Good job. Good job.
Get some rest, fellas. Let's go.
Good job. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can spread out. Okay, what did you think about? You think we got accomplished what we wanted to? Or?
I thought this was a good day for the guys. I mean, under the circumstances, to do some thinking. I mean, I thought they did a good job. They worked through it. I mean, I know they were a little fatigued, but I thought they gave a great effort. They competed. We got some good play out of some guys that may have not performed as well up to this point, but I thought they did a good job.
Give them feedback right away. After a practice, what I do with my staff is look at our practice tape, critique our practice, and say, okay, we did a good job with that. I think we need more work with this. Let's come back tomorrow with this. I was going to do this tomorrow, but I think it's better to do this. And overall, I try not to be a slave to my practice plan. It's Wednesday, and we play. The game's over. Okay? That starts your timeline for the next game, for me. What do I do in preparation for the next game? Starting at the end of the game that on Wednesday. How do we prepare for Saturday? All right after the game, after getting through all the stuff with the team and press and whatever, I watch the tape of the game. See, like right here. And the reason I watch the tape of that game on Wednesday, right after the game, with my staff almost all the time, I want to know for sure what I saw. Not what I think I saw in an emotional setting. After I watch that tape, I usually have had an assistant ready for the next opponent. Now we have tape or whatever. They give me, when I go home, we usually watch tape right in the locker in our coaches area. When I go home, they have their first report on the next team and a highlight tape. Part of the report would be the stats of our upcoming opponent. I want 2 sets of stats. I want their yearly stats up to that point, and then I want what they've done in the last 4 games. The first part of practice is a team meeting. My feeling, in order to get on to the next, you have to have closure. Closure doesn't occur with the ending of a game. It never does. Closure ends at some period afterwards. Sometimes it doesn't end until you lose the next game to get beyond the win. So you got to give it closure. And we do it in one location. We're finished. It takes 15 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour, whatever it takes. We leave that location. It's like shutting the coffin, shutting the door. It's the ending. And then I'll either go to our players' lounge or we'll come out here on the court and I'll start talking to them about the other team. I do that all the time. There's a beginning and there's an ending. For the team, that's the beginning of our next game. For me, that started the night before. I wouldn't talk that much about our next opponent, except, here's what we're going to do, blah, blah, and then we practice. During the practice session, the offensive stuff that we would do, like if the team plays more zone, we would play against more zone. We might point out a few things. Our defensive drills would be kind of geared for them, but they might be also to take care of one of the negative points from the game before. So it's not just all getting ready for the next team. It's getting us ready. Like, if we didn't do a good job in transition defense, even if the other team that we're playing on Saturday is not big on that much transition, I want to take care of that right now. I want to take care of us before getting into elaborate game plans. And so I don't give them that much information about our opponent that first day of practice in a two-day period. Each assistant will get a team, throughout the year. And so when we sit out there, we'll have our team sitting right on the bench. We at times do it out on the court. And I'll be sitting there next to Quinn, and Quinn will go over the scouting report. What I do during that time is I make notes on the report. This is one of my worksheets. And so as Quinn talks about a kid from the other team, I'll let him go through it.
They will shoot the ball in transition, okay? Each 3 for 3 from the line in their last game. So all these guys, older players, strong, good three-point shooters, we got to keep Smiley in front of us.
Okay, William will be on him. And don't get caught up in... When we practice, we'll actually walk through some of the things that the opponent will do. So you hear, you see, and you do. That's the combination I use all the time. But I don't try to show them everything. Walking through, and you got to be careful with if you allow your assistants to, then you got to be careful if you do it too. You're going to give them too much. Like they do all of this. Okay. Your kids don't know your plays. Is it right? I mean, they don't know your plays. How the hell are they going to know their plays? Really? And so they should know tendencies or certain situations, because what you don't want to do, even when you have a lot of key players, good players, is put too much other stuff in their minds. The practice is done. What attitude do I want to get with them? At the end of the practice, I say, I'll give them a message. I might even have a handout, a saying. The game comes. I want my guys dressed and ready 30 minutes before the game. When I come in, I hit them with a couple points or nothing. Sometimes a pregame talk, if I know they're ready, my assistants who have been talking to them, I come to them, I said, what do you think? Coach, I think they're ready right now. Man, they really are ready right now. You kind of feel that, like I'm feeling right now. You put yourself in that situation. And so you walk in, and certain times I say, I know you're ready. Let's get together. Let's go. Overall, this whole process is about respect. The respect you have for your own team, but also the respect you have for your opponent. I'll do this whether we're playing the lowest Division I team or the number 1 team in the country. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. And because, you know why? Because we play in every one of those games. Yeah. And if I don't prepare In other words, I want my team to be great every time we play. Precision execution at both ends of the court is a hallmark of championship teams that doesn't just happen. Practices make it happen. Practices prepare you for competition. So the better you plan and conduct each practice session, the better you'll be when you take the court on game day.
To order the complete Duke basketball video series or for information about other basketball books and videos, contact Human Kinetics.